Well, hello there, football friends. Now, I hope that wasn't too Americanised for you. Hope it didn't sound like Maggie McGee. Again, introducing the next episode of Keepie Uppies. My football club and chairman duties took priority last night. So again, Tots took the reins to chat to the very impressive Ryan Moffatt. So kick back, listen in and enjoy. Like, share, celebrate all that Ryan has achieved. And the tilt of the hats that Ryan gave to his football friends. Still plenty to come from Ryan, obviously a veteran of the game now, but such a journey he's been on to date, and obviously his big plans in the future as coach and manager. So listen in, enjoy, and remain awesome, football friends.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.
Hello everyone, this is the next episode of Keepie Uppies. This is the Christmas special, so no pressure, Ryan. So we're absolutely delighted to be joined by the Annie United midfielder, Ryan Moffatt. Ryan, thanks a million for joining us.
No, listen, thanks very much for the invite, boys. I'm really looking forward to a wee bit of a chat now, and pressure for the Christmas, so that's a wee bit of pressure almost certainly, yes.
So we're going to start off nice and easy, Ryan. If you can, I think I actually know the answer to this, but anyway, what team did you support growing up, and who was your football hero? Well,
I'm a Leeds United man, so I am. A Leeds United man, but coming through and stuff like that. There, my first football memory would have been Euro '96. So I obviously watched the England team and stuff like that. So Steve McManaman, me being a left winger, left sided player, I love Steve McManaman coming through. You know, and it was weird me being a Leeds fan, and especially where I grew up. Everybody around me was just Man United. So it's all had a wee notion as well for Ryan Giggs, obviously, on the left-hand side as well. So that was just the wee people I sort of shone to early doors. But yeah, I'm a Leeds man for all my sins, whatever way you want to look at it.
And obviously great that they're back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But is any Leeds United players that you had your eye on then growing up, and trying to think left wingers sort of in the 90s? Who would have been kind of your...
You know, you're sort of coming through there. Again, the Leeds team that sort of come on then under David O'Leary, you know, that good team that sort of went to Champions League semi-finals. You had Harry Kewell, Lee Bowyer, Alan Smith, Viduka. You know, so that was the first proper Leeds team, and I probably fell in love with it because it was a probably successful team. You know, the team that won the league just before the Premier League had started, the Gordon Strachan's all, that would have been just a wee bit before my time, to be honest with you, you know. So I just sort of seen that David O'Leary coming through, and I really loved that team.
Yeah, they were fantastic for a couple of years, weren't they? And obviously things went a wee bit kind of pear-shaped after that, but still some special years.
They tried to chase the dream, and I think it was 1 year maybe they didn't qualify for the Champions League, and I think everything just sort of fell apart after that. You know, they just spent above their means, really. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And the drop was just absolutely madness. You know, it's just crazy. You know.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, a lot of teams when they drop down into the Championship, they just assume that they're going to bounce straight back up. But when you look at the Championship, you know, you've about 10 plus sides that used to be not so long ago established Premier League sides, and it's, you know, you look at Portsmouth as well. Remember they dropped all the way down to League Two.
Exactly, you go to League One, League Two, you know, and it's hard. I'm sitting in the house here in the background, Sunderland first West Brom. There's exactly what you just said. You know, two Premier League teams are playing in the Championship tonight. You know.
Yeah, it just shows you it's pretty difficult. So what's your first memories then of kicking ball then that you can remember?
As usual, just in around the States and back in Banbridge here, just around the States. Where we grew up, there were just kids everywhere, and you just went out first thing in the morning. You just played football right till the last thing at night. You know, your parents shouted out the door at you. You know, you sort of knew when the scream was coming and it was time to go home. The rain got progressively louder. You know, and it was just time to go then. But it was just we used to play headers and volleys just up the state all day long, and especially over the summer when we were off for the summers. We had a thing in Banbridge Life Centre. It was the summer schemes. And you just went in the morning, and I think it was 9:30 to 11:30. You went home and had a break. You went home and got beans and toast, and then you were back out in the state again. And then you're around to the second half for the football at the Life Centre. But just kick ball from an early age.
Class. That's right. Usually the name kind of got progressively louder, and then when it got Ryan Moffatt, when you got the surname, then you're really in trouble, weren't you?
Oh, it was time, right, boys? It's time to go here. She's really crossed this time.
So, what about your underage years then? Who did you start off with, and what's kind of your happiest memories during those youth teams?
Yeah, well, what actually happened was at Bridge there was no Bamberstown juniors at the time when I was coming through, so there were the only team around this region was Dromore. Dromore had a brilliant youth setup. It was a fella called Ashley Gibson. He ran it all, and I went over. I don't know how I actually come about. I went over, and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like at one stage, there was like a 52-seater coming from Bridge to go and play with Dromore every Saturday morning. So the youth over there was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. I went right through. Actually, had a couple of chances to move a couple of times, but I just sort of I was happy there. I played right from I would say 7 right through till I was 16, 17 years of age or more.
Very good. And funny, I was chatting to my dad there the other week, and he was saying about the Dromore side, because I remember it was only when he mentioned it, I goes, I remember actually playing Dromore, and it was it was a pretty good setup. Are they still? Yeah. Are they still going that Dromore side?
Yeah,
the teams.
Dromore Amateurs, I think they're called now. Yeah, they're going strong as well. Yeah, but as I say, there was nothing around here. There was no Bombers juniors. I think St. Patrick tried a youth team at one stage, but at that stage I was pretty well settled in at Dromore, and they had done it for a couple of years, and then eventually Bridge did start. But at that stage, I think I'd maybe went into senior football or something maybe at that stage.
Yeah. Okay. And what about when the youth days? Is there any moments that stick out? And also, what position would you have been playing then in your underage years? Were you a left winger then, or? I
was a left winger and a left back really at them stage. I remember playing left back for a long time in my youth career as well. But in football memories, we used to go over till the Air Cup and the Morecambe Cup. Over, and the trips would just stand out massively. We won the Morecambe Cup 2 years in a row, and it's crazy now. You looking back and you can still remember as a kid standing about benching, winning them wee trophies. You thought you'd won the Champions League. But great memories. We all went across together and stuff. I remember my granddad coming across, my nanny, my granddad all come across. They were volunteers and stuff, and it was brilliant. Great memories looking back.
Yeah, it's class those wee tournaments, isn't it? You don't really think much of them at the time, but when you kind of reflect, you think, God, they were some of the happiest times.
Absolutely brilliant. Even some of the kids that I'd be coaching there, and they're maybe going away, and like we trips, I said, listen, best days of your life. You know what I mean? You absolutely, things will stick with you massively. Wee tiny things like that.
Yeah, class. And so then, how did that develop then? So with the youth teams, and obviously at some point you caught the eye at various clubs at senior level. How did that all kind of materialise then for you?
Just at the end in Dromore, as I say, there's a man there called Ashley Gibson who was he was my manager with Dromore, and he was one of my biggest influences in football. He just made me fall in love with the game, and he turned out his son Johnny Gibson. He's actually still playing now. He plays for Minewell in Bridge here, and Johnny's dad then took over, but he was we were getting into like the under 17s, under 18s bracket, but then the club didn't really know what to do. So actually it started a new team basically, like the under 17s, under 18s. So there was a group of about 6 of us playing in the mornings, and then all travelling together, playing with the more amateur seniors in the afternoon. So we were playing 2 games every Saturday. And it was just absolutely brilliant. As I say, we were together, and then that evening we're all out together. The crack in the bottom was brilliant. And then I played for, as I say, the seniors into more amateurs for a couple of years. And then Bamberstown actually got in contact with Michael Lamont was the manager at the time. The story actually goes, a couple of supporters I'd heard around Bridge that I was, scoring a few goals over Dromore, and a couple of supporters actually contacted Michael and said, listen, you're going to have to go over and watch this kid Ryan Moffatt at Dromore. And he went over and I think he watched a couple of games, and then I signed that following summer for Bamberstown.
Very good. So they obviously supporters then got on board, and then your agent obviously was contacted.
That's it.
And,
so that's how that move come about. I didn't know that for years afterwards until I was actually sitting in the bar one day at Bridge, and the old crack in the banter was going. They had two supporters in the corners going, do you know we're the reason why you're here? And I says, well, what's the story going to go? The many beers these boys had. And no, it turned out that was true. Them 2 boys approached the coaching staff at that time, and Michael Lamont, to be fair, went over and watched, or somebody going over and watched, and I ended up signing then for Bridge.
Brilliant move, and a fantastic football club, and
brilliant.
So again, you slotted then into into the left wing position. How did you find that kind of step up from Dromore Amateurs to Banbridge? Was it pretty easy transition, or
it was? I found it good. I sort of always had a wee bit of, wouldn't say cockiness or arrogance or anything. I've sort of had a confidence in my own ability. When I stepped in, there was a lot of senior players at Banbridge at that time. You're going right back to boys called Ali Evans, Paul Evans, Ran Evans. Dessie Gorman was at Banbridge actually at the time. Dessie the Hawk.
Oh yeah. Funny.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say he was another player I was chatting about recently. He actually the club I would have played for was Oxford Sunnyside, and somebody happened to know him and got him to come down for one game. We were playing Banbridge Rangers. Now he only played one game for Oxford Sunnyside, and he must have. I think he was in his early 40s.
Yeah.
But still, see this touch. Now, he mightn't have been moving about too much. He scored the most unbelievable goal from about 40 yards out. Even the Banbridge Rangers guys were applauding him, But he was some player back in the day.
That's Dessie, all right. Yeah, but senior boys, Tony Scappatisci played for the Lavens for 2 years. He's Banbridge man, absolute what a player, So they'll say I walked straight in that dressing room with senior players, But it was slow now, to be honest with you. At that time, back then, there was only 3 subs. So there was a thing called back then like the 15th man. You travel to games, you're the 15th man. You were basically left out of the squad. I remember sort of doing well in my first pre-season, thinking, okay, I've got a wee chance here in the league. We were away to Brantwood maybe in Belfast, and I went across and I was named 15th man. I was so disappointed, really, I thought I'd done okay. And I remember Tony Scappatisci bringing me outside and sort of having a word with me and saying, "Don't you worry, wee man, you've got a great future at this club. Don't you worry, your time will come," and wee things like that. It was brilliant.
And what about those senior pros? What were they like, kind of
Absolutely.
Growing up? They must have set the standard. Of course, you're a senior pro now, but what was it like when you were a young lad playing with some of those boys? It must have been class.
It was unbelievable. I've said the story many a time. I was sitting in the corners of the dressing room, just sort of sitting there, just like a sponge, just soaking it all in, sort of like waiting for one of them to talk to me. Have a wee bit of interaction, a wee bit of crack, a wee bit of banter. But no, they were brilliant to me. The pushed me definitely in the right way, and it's definitely now that I'm looking back on it, saying looking up to people like that, especially when them boys are still playing. Like said Tony Scap and Dessie and stuff at that age, at them back in them days. So it definitely had an influence on my career. I would definitely say that. Yeah.
And as you said, you were a bit of a sponge, so you would have been picking up on certain things, I suppose. In the change room that they were saying and training and stuff. Do you find younger players though these days? Do you think? Obviously, times change, but do you find younger players do that these days, or do you think that's maybe something that they should be kind of maybe sponging off, maybe the senior pros? Or
well, there's a lot. I speak to a lot of people around football, and people people are saying, there's a lot of that coming through. It's hard to get the kids to do anything and stuff. But I'll be honest with you, my personal, I find the kids been brilliant around me. You know what I mean? There's a couple of boys over there, Deanna now at the minute. Craig Taylor. Craig would come to me and ask me for advice, and I would help Craig out in any way. We do the warm-ups and all together. I'm an actual left winger myself, so I'm trying to help Craig the best I can. So it just really boils down to the individual attitude of each kid, If they really want to push on, then they'll be very much like I was back in the day,
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. Just down to the person, isn't it? But I think you need to have that wee bit of almost like critical analysis of, working on the things you're not so good at, as well as the things obviously you are good at, but also, taking on board what the senior players say to you, is crucial. So at Banbridge Town then, you had obviously some pretty good times there. So run us through kind of your happiest moments there.
Well, actually, what happened was I was at Banbridge then for 2 to 3 years, and I was doing well. And then I got myself pretty in well. I was doing steady, and then I got the move into Loughgall. So I went to Loughgall, and then ended up coming back to Banbridge after that. But the early days of Banbridge, absolutely loved them. We got to the Radcliffe Cup final, 2006 maybe. Coke actually beat us in extra time. But I remember it being a big disappointment. Obviously your hometown club, you dream of winning something, your hometown club and stuff. I remember that being a big disappointment. But I remember the whole leading up, and I remember after the cup final going, you don't want to experience that again, wee man. You know what I mean? The next time you're going to be in this situation, you make sure you're going to be in the winning team and stuff like that. But so then that was 2006, 2007. In 2007, I got to move. Then Niall came in for me. Niall Currie came in for me at Loughgall, and moved over to Loughgall then after that.
And you said there that after your disappointment, you didn't want to be in that position again. Well, you more than made up for it with Bob Radcliffe.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it turned out that I was actually in 4 Bob Radcliffe finals in a row. I was in one with Banbridge, the one we got beat, and then the next 3 with Loughgall, I all won.
And what about Niall then? I was just going to say he's been pretty successful in his managerial career, and he's back obviously at Portadown.
Yeah.
What sort of a manager was he like? Just kind of give us. Was he motivator, tactician, bit of both? What was he like?
Niall was brilliant. Niall was brilliant with me. He was absolutely super with me. And to be fair, he was brilliant with everybody at that time. You know, we come in and he got himself he'd come in. What had happened was I think had just got relegated from the Premier League. So a lot of players had moved on stuff. I think there was maybe a crossover between the Alfie Wiley days and then Niall coming in. And there's only 3 to 4 players that left and still a contract. So Niall come in and basically starting from scratch. But he'd come in and Niall being Niall, the wheeler dealer, just signed everyone. I think he's playing Football Manager sometimes every time I pick up Twitter. But he came in and he was brilliant with me. Niall doesn't really want to take anything to do with the coaching side of it, on the training pitch. He's got brilliant coaches around him usually. Now, it might have changed now, but any time I've worked under Niall, that was the type of way. He had Mickey McKeown with him, and he had a fella called Jay Willis, who took much of the training. Niall would have been your man manager. Really, really on the game days is Niall's fun time. That's when he earns his corn. But he was absolutely brilliant with me, a motivator, and he was superb. I loved my time under Niall. I really, really did.
And what about those Bob Radcliffe? There's finals. Because there's some players don't even get to play in one Bob Radcliffe final. You've got to play in 4 in a row, and then you got another one then after that with Banbridge again.
So I've forgot. Radcliffe's I've won 5, so I've gotten 6 finals and won 5.
Yeah, not a bad record.
It's not a bad wee record. I don't know what I thought. So it's not too bad. The Radcliffe it's definitely a trophy that's big in my heart and leading up to it and stuff now. And I'm actually a wee bit disappointed now because it's turned into obviously the likes of the championship and stuff now. It's a senior competition now, so we don't enter the Radcliffe anymore.
Yeah.
It's sort of moved on. So I haven't played in the Radcliffe in a couple of years now, but it's a big trophy that I absolutely loved it. The whole Boxing Day experience built up until it was just absolutely super. I loved it.
That's right. You have to give other teams a chance, other players a chance. You're looking to still playing it. Sick, you said in 6.
Listen, if I could have an hour 10, I'd take it right now. I promise you.
And which one kind of sticks out? I know it must be difficult to pick one out. Is it the first one, or is there another one that maybe?
Well, again, the first one was absolutely, you always remember your first one, but I really got to admit that I went back to Loughgall then later on in my career and was captain, and I picked it up for Loughgall as a captain, and then 2018 I picked it up for Bombers Town as a captain, my hometown club, and I've said this many times to the boys and stuff, I've been lucky enough to win a few things in my career, but the day that you lift something for your hometown club and you go back and you get that buzz about the town, you get that buzz in the clubhouse afterwards, and that was definitely the one. If you're asking about Radcliffe's, the 2018 Bombers Town one would definitely be the one that stand out to me.
And did you manage to score any of them or assists, or
I think
you didn't do a Harry Kane, didn't miss a penalty, did you?
No,
40 yards over the bar.
I haven't done. I think I'm still looking for the ball. No, I haven't done. I don't remember. No, I think I've scored a couple of goals in the finals over the years now, but I don't remember. I haven't missed a penalty in any of them. No, definitely none of that.
Very good. So the Loughgall team, that's pretty impressive. That haul of kind of 3 in a row. What sticks out from that team? Did it just have that winning mentality, or
everything? The proper senior players, ability, attitudes, everything, togetherness. Niall was brilliant, and it was super. That first year at Loughgall, we won the 5 trophies. We entered 6 competitions. Right. We entered 6 competitions and we won 5 of them. The only one we didn't win was the Irish Cup, and I think the Blues beat us in the quarterfinals or something. Got beat us 2-0 at Lakeview. So that's without a doubt. That season is not even talked about enough, in my opinion, in the Irish League circles. For a team in the championship level to go out and win 5 trophies out of a possible 6, it's just absolutely phenomenal. It's not talked about enough, in my honest opinion. It'll never be done again.
Yeah, I remember that was pretty impressive. I remember seeing Niall Currie, whatever year that was, I remember it was a good few years ago. Goodness, the the cameraman could barely get, nearly all the trophies in that Niall was holding.
That's right. It was 2007, 2008 season.
That's yeah.
Yeah, so when we went back then at the end of the season, you don't get all the picture. There's a big picture I have actually framed in the house with all our squad and then the trophies along the bottom, So it's definitely a memory that, just as I say, the season it'll never ever be repeated again. It's hard enough to get one trophy and double, never mind go on to win 5 in the one season.
Great stuff. And stuff, I suppose, at the time you don't really think of. You just win the trophies, you win your games, you move on to the next season. It's only really, I suppose, like now as you're, you have a few more years left in your career, I'm sure, but it's only now that probably you reflect and go, goodness, that was a pretty good achievement and something that you'll be talking about for decades, no doubt.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's that mentality. You hear, and I'm not comparing it to you, but you hear the pros and the TV and stuff saying, like Rio Ferdinand all over the years, when they won one, you just ticked it off and they moved on to the next one. That was very much the case that season. It wasn't the fact, all right, we've got one here, we're content. We've got 2, that type of way. It was just, right, hold on here, we're going for everything here, and we just kept winning games, and the good field factor was there, and they just kept coming, and so it was absolutely super.
Brilliant, yeah. And as you said, that was ultimately that winning mentality had within the squad, because I'm sure you've seen teams on the TV or teams that you've come up against locally where they win the trophy and they kind of lose that edge and that drive to kind of push on, which clearly Niall didn't need to motivate you too much. It was just move on to the next year and win a few more trophies. So things were going pretty well at Loughgall. Why did you decide then to leave, or was it?
What really had happened was, it was sort of we won the league that first season, and then what had happened was the club wasn't in a position to go up to the next level again. So the club had come to us in January and said, listen, unfortunately, if you go on and win the league, we can't apply for the license or anything like that, which is a very big disappointment, after the season we just had, because you should that team that we had deserved the crack at the Premier League, So that was disappointing, and everybody stayed together. Then the following season was the year that Portadown, remember, they got relegated. There was a clerical error or something happened.
Yes, I vaguely remember that.
Under Ronnie McFall and Donegal Celtic had a brilliant team then. So it was us, Portadown and Donegal Celtic, I think, going into the last couple of games where they're going to win the league. So Portadown ended up winning the league, just tipped us, I think, maybe in the last couple of 2 games. And then the third season again at Loughgall, we went on to win the league again. But unfortunately, the club come to us again in January and said, listen, the club's still not ready to go. So if you're going to win the league, you're not going to get promoted again. And then at that stage, the players just got knocked from pillar to post, and that's what actually had happened at the end of Loughgall. Niall had moved away, and all the players then. Which is very, very unfortunate, because that squad and that team and that club at that time really deserved the crack at the Premier League,
Yeah, and so what was it that Loughgall was it to do just with facilities, or?
I think it was. I think it was
pictures.
I think it was. All the rules changed. Till certain seats and all this and all. The criteria changed for the Premier League, and even to apply for the license and stuff. It all changed. So I'm not actually sure. To be honest, we have never asked the club. I've never asked the club what the crack was behind the scenes. At the end of the day, we were still just players, and we were just sort of doing what we were told.
But it's probably the last thing you wanted to hear. Come, middle of the season, smack bang. You're going great. Oh, lads, by the way, if you win the league, we can't go up.
Club and as a players, we all felt we deserved the right to go and do it,
Yeah. Goodness. So you'd moved on then once, obviously, things kind of turned slightly sour, goes off the field at Loughgall.
Sort of petered out, and then what had happened was I went back. Oh boy, I'm trying to push this all together myself here. I think I went back to Bridge then just briefly. And then what had happened? Yes, I was only back to went to Bridge then briefly, and then Niall had actually took over at Ards, and Niall was straight onto the blower again. Then he says, "I've got another project. Do you fancy coming to join me?" So I actually went over there and joined him at Ards then at that time. That was in around 2012-13, in around that region, I think. Yes, yeah. I went over and joined Niall at Ards then. Niall and Mickey and Jed took over there again. So he had said that, so I went over there and joined him then. I was at 2 or 3 brilliant years over there as well with him.
So he was like Harry Redknapp and you were like Peter Crouch, it sounds like, so wherever Niall went, you were, and I suppose, we're obviously just joking there, but, it just illustrated what he thought of you as a player and as a person, that, he's somebody that you trusted, that you could do the job in midfield and score the goals and assists.
It was brilliant, and soon Niall made the phone call. At that stage, there was no selling to do or anything. Soon Niall Currie makes the phone call. That was me away. So yeah, we're over there, and then again the first season at ours, we won the championship and got ourselves promoted a bit in the Premier League. Then so did that first season.
I thought you were going to tell me there you were leading the championship and then the Ards told you in January.
No, thankfully that only happened at Loughgall. That didn't happen again, no. So that was brilliant. And it was a club. It's a club that obviously it's a wee bit further away from me, and I never knew much about it, But that season we had won the championship. The fans got behind us massively, and it's a massive club, Ards. Some of the games we've been playing there leading up to winning the championship, you weren't far off 1,000, 1,500 people watching maybe on a Friday night or something like that in the championship,
Yeah, I'm sure some fond memories. And I suppose in a way, do you enjoy kind of going back to those old clubs? Obviously, you've got Loughgall in your league and Ards, and both of them obviously doing pretty well. Ards have kind of improved in form, and Loughgall are started the season pretty well.
I do. I sort of made sure that I've kept in with everybody okay. I didn't leave any club on any bad terms. And I got them, to be fair to Loughgall and the likes of Ards to go back to there. And, I'm always very well welcome, stuff like that, So, yeah, no, it's good to go back to the clubs, yeah.
So then a few seasons then at Ards with Niall.
With Niall, we went up into the Premier League then, and we just sort of fell short just a wee bit in the end. What had happened was we were playing out of Bangor, obviously, and Bangor was the year the Bangor got the 3G pitch down, and then we moved across to Ballyclare. Actually, we started our Premier League days playing on Ballyclare's pitch, and then the pitch finally got back in. So that was it. We got relegated then that first season, which was very, very unfortunate. Because I think the team that we had together could have stuck together, and then Niall stayed there another couple of years, and he got them back up then, I think, eventually. So he did, but I'd moved on then. I had actually moved on. Brennan Adair, my ex-teammate, he took over Loughgall, and he had approached me and stuff like that, and I had moved there from Ards and went back to Loughgall then.
And then what about your time at Loughgall? And then eventually, obviously, you've went from back to Banbridge again.
I went back to Loughgall then. For that couple of years, that's the year we won another Radcliffe. That was the year I captained Loughgall to win the Radcliffe, 2015, I think, 16. And then going back to Banbridge, I'd always said the whole way sort of through my career, I didn't want to go back to Banbridge when I was 38, 39, 40. I wanted to go back to Banbridge and sort of I made sure that I had an influence, trying to do something with the club, So and around that stage, the club had sort of approached me, and I was hemming and hawing, and I goes, you know what? Yeah, the time's now. I think I'd maybe just turned 20, maybe 30. I turned back, so I goes, yeah, I'll go back and do it. So I went back over there, and I had, I loved it. As soon as I went back, I was captain of the club, and it was a massive honour to even to walk around the town, to be captain of the town, and every time leading my hometown club out and stuff. I loved it, absolutely loved it. It's a club that I love, and hopefully someday it'll be a club I'll go back to. I could be chairman of the supporters club. I could drive the supporters bus, put the water bottles out or something. But I'll definitely go back to the club in some format.
Oh, that's great to hear. And what about, actually, I meant to say to you earlier about the Bob Radcliffe. What was the build up like? Because obviously it's playing Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Did you find, obviously you had to be careful of how many beers you were consuming on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, but what was the build up like to it? What was it like actually playing on Boxing Day? I suppose if you win it, it's your Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year, or if you lose it.
Yeah, well, I even like, especially now, and even back then, I would have sort of treated myself, as a sort of professional Monday to Friday, So leading up to the game, people would have laughed at me. You see my Christmas dinner, I wouldn't have had a big massive Christmas dinner because I was playing the next day, that preparation for the next day and stuff like that. And regarding beers, I got absolutely no chance. My mates knew not even to ring me or anything like that. There was no beers at all. And just lead up till I just built it up as another game. Obviously, it's not because it's Boxing Day and it's the day after Christmas and stuff like that. But again, as you said, winning them obviously gives yourself that good experience. But I just have nothing but fond memories about the Radcliffe Day, and meeting, and then especially the one leading up to Banbridge. Especially when you're in around the town. You're in around the town, the build up, and everybody you're speaking to, you're walking up the town, everybody's speaking to you, and the local papers ringing you, and everybody's talking about it and all this crack, So no, the whole build up, I tried to treat as best I could as a normal game. But obviously, you knew it was the day after, your Christmas Day and stuff like that. But I'd have treated it just as a standard game.
And captain in Banbridge, did you? Obviously, it was an absolute privilege to to captain your local side. But did you find extra pressure with that, or was that pressure you kind of enjoyed?
I loved
yeah,
it. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. No, 100%. And I actually remember the game pretty fondly, because it was against Allenstown with 1-4-0, but it was a time in the first half where you went 2-0 up after about 20 minutes. And I remember just saying to myself, I don't care how I play here the rest of the day. I'm just going to sacrifice myself. We're going to go home with this trophy today. You know what I mean? I'd sort of moved myself into a defensive midfielder sort of type role by that stage. And I just said, listen, I don't care if I kick this ball over the clubhouse all day long. I just got to make sure the trophy comes home with us at the final whistle,
Yeah, because I suppose as a captain, you're almost got two jobs, don't you? You're concentrating your own performance, but you're also looking out for your teammates, and you're kind of the eyes and ears of the manager, But yeah, it must have been great, sort of captain in your local side, and then winning, one of the big local trophies. Must have been.
Yeah, it was massive. It was massive, and I was actually, funny enough, our game was called off on Saturday there, so I went down to Barmerside Football Club actually and watched the Portugal game. But I was just down to see a couple of ex-teammates and stuff, sitting having, and actually, after a couple of beers, the old stories come out again. All the stories always come out about Radcliffe Day, I remember walking back in the club and seeing people, who are there, like Leslie Matthews here's, he's been there for years, him holding the trophy and putting whiskey in the trophy and all. It's just a day that you'll never forget,
And they got a terrific result there a couple of weeks back against Ballinacastle Rangers.
I was actually over at it because we played the Friday evening. And if we play the Friday evening, if I can possibly get to the game, I'll go watch it on Saturday. So I actually went down. I went down in the supporters bus on the Saturday afternoon. So I texted the fellow who runs after. I seen my Friday night fixture come. I had seen Bombridge away at Ballinacastle. So I texted him a few weeks previous saying, listen, supporters bus, make sure you book me a seat on it. So I went down with all the supporters and down the crack, and it was brilliant. But what a result. The town were absolutely superb from the first minute. They were brilliant, well-deserved victory that day.
Aye, because you need to be on top of your game when you play Ballinacastle. They're especially at their ground, they're a really strong team, physical team, can mix it up a wee bit direct and play some good football. So that was brilliant. And they scored 5 goals, wasn't it? It was 5.
5 goals. And what a game as well. What a game, because there was a stage in the second half, there was 4 goals in about 10 minutes. And it was just madness. I was standing beside the fellow who looks after the Barmerside Twitter, and he was trying to text or put it on the Twitter. And by the time he was writing up one scoreline, there was another goal. He just couldn't get the thumbs working quick enough on a cold day either. So it was a bit of a giggle, a bit of a laugh.
Aye, because I was just following it on Twitter, and then it looked as if nearly Ballinacastle were going to make a bit of a comeback in the second half. And the way their season's been going, he wouldn't have been really that surprised. But obviously then Bombridge kind of pushed on and got the victory.
Yeah.
So then Kieran came calling at some point.
Indeed.
How did that, obviously you would have heard of Kieran before, but how did that initial chat go, and how did he kind of, I suppose, sell the project at Anna?
Yeah, well, basically I just decided that I was going to move on from Banbridge, and I just put a general tweet out one evening, just sort of saying, thank you to Banbridge for the last, some number of years, and it's just time for me to move on for a sort of new challenge. And I had nothing planned. I didn't have a clue what I was doing next. I had no club. I hadn't spoke to anybody about signing or anything like that. And then soon as I done that there, my phone just went absolutely mad. Clubs that, to be honest with you, I've never heard of before, and clubs, right to the championship level, right up through. So Kieran was one get on. I knew Kieran over the years, sort of just playing against him all the time and sort of nights out here and that. So Kieran hit me a wee message on Twitter actually. It'd be interesting to get a wee chat with you. So I spoke to him the next day. I spoke to another couple of wee clubs, and they decided that, Kieran's the one I want to go to, and Anna's the club that I want to go to. And, it was sort of, travelling was a big part too, because there was other championship clubs who had come in that were just too far to travel. And at my stage, and I was just going, Portdown's only over the road. It's, 15 minutes to Tandragee way. I can go 15 minutes over the way, and I went over, and it was like starting from scratch again, from somewhere I've been pretty comfortable at Barbridge for so many years. To go over, you get added in the WhatsApp groups obviously all now, and you look at the WhatsApp group and one number in, you go, flip me, I'm actually starting right from scratch. It's like first day of primary school again,
Class. And
so go ahead. No,
I was just going to say then about your Anna. Then were you kind of surprised then how that season in the championship went? Because it would have been the way obviously COVID. Then you had the season after then COVID,
Yeah.
although it was still obviously about, but that the season was kind of cut short there. But so it would have been probably last season was one of
It
your
would have
probably
been.
first full seasons.
It was been Anna's first season since they won the Premier Intermediate,
Yeah, that's
which
right.
would have been before the COVID days, So
Yeah.
obviously I had played against that Anna team for Bridge, So it was a good team, and I knew a few of the boys just to play against, but didn't know any of them really personally, But to go across and I would say that Kieran's he's openly about it himself, and then the club football has said that for a promoted side to come up in the championship, and the standard of the championship is now would have been to get anywhere in the top six would have been an achievement. But as a club, but as a team and a thing, we just sort of kept winning games and just kept going, and then the good feel factor just kept going with it, and goes, you know what, we'll just keep riding this wave here and see where it takes us.
I was just going to say, were you surprised? Looking at the squad, and obviously that was their first full season in the championship, that they were right up there, because it looked as if, I think there was was there a draw at home to Newry towards the end? It looked as if nearly you were pulling those points back in Newry, because they were starting to lose a few points that you would have expected them to pick up maximum points. And they looked as if you were going to close in on them, but it was just maybe that draw, maybe at home, I think it was that.
Yeah, I remember the game you're talking about. Just go like Kieran's openly said it himself, and the club will openly admit it. For that's the Premier League, to get promoted up at the Championship and be anywhere near the top 1, 2, top 3 was absolutely unbelievable. But if you look at it, look at the squad, you look at the players, we're good enough to be up there. So it's no coincidence that the club and the team was up there last year. But just coming on to the end of the season, there was one Friday night we were down in Newry and won 3-0 down in Newry, and it just kicked us all massively. And we were on the good wee run. And then I think that game you're talking about was the start of the split.
Was it?
Games.
Yeah.
That's top 2 played each other, and I think we were 1 up that day at home in Newry, and we should have went 2 and 3, and they sort of sucker punches at the end. It was a wee bit of a kicking the stones now, but if we had got the win that day, it would have been interesting to see what the rest of the split would have set up, because Newry knew that they had that wee gap, and the draw suited Newry down to the ground, because it kept us the same distance, if you know what I mean.
But yeah, it was so competitive though, that and the same this season, as you said, there was probably 6 or 7 teams that, you had the Ballymallard, you had Loughgall.
Yeah. It's the same this year. You can name 5, 6 clubs off the top of your head without even thinking about it. That can win this league. And it's great for the league, because there's proper games every single week. There's no doubt about it. Like we played the two games that stand out this season so far is home to Loughgall and home to Warren Point. Were just absolutely 2 brilliant, 2 good teams going at each other for 90 minutes of proper ding dongs. We played Warren Point there a couple of weeks ago, drew 1 each, and even the players when they're shaking hands to each other at the end are both going, what a game to be involved in. The tempo was brilliant. Everybody, there was good standard to play, and it's just brilliant to play in every single week.
Yeah, and you can definitely see a massive improvement the last few seasons in the Championship, and I suppose it makes sense. Obviously, if the Premier League is as strong as it's been for a long time, that obviously then cascades down to the Championship, and then down to the Premier Intermediate.
Yeah,
so the quality everywhere is definitely improving.
Yeah, it has. It definitely has now. There's no doubt about it. And the product's getting better too. I think a lot of Niffle and stuff like that's doing a whole lot more work. Even going around there, they're doing the wee live stuffs and all like that.
Yeah.
Our game last Friday night, or a couple of Friday nights ago, away to the Welders is live on YouTube and stuff like that. So there's all that type of stuff helps spread the word about the league.
Yeah. And so, what about this season? I suppose what do you find is going to be the target for Anna? Because I suppose on the back of last season, obviously just missing out in that playoff against Portadown, does that raise the expectations a wee bit with yourselves? Yeah, that's where we want to be. What do you see as the target for the rest of the season?
Last year, I would say everybody in the club had got that wee bit of a feel for it last year. Sort of everything positive in the press and stuff like that was being spoke about. Anna, this sort of dream season they're having and stuff like that. Sort of the wee Anna, the wee thing in Portadown. But you got to say it in the championship this year. Like the likes of Warren Point have kept all players and signed more again. So Warren Point they'll be thereabouts. Loughgall's a brilliant team. The likes of Ballymallards, Ards. So it's a difficult league. As I said there a couple of minutes ago, any one of 6 teams can win this league. You know, and I don't know how many games we're in, but it feels like, you know, there's still left to go.
And what about yourself? You enjoying your football more than ever? You're sitting in the centre midfield role, is
Yeah,
that right? Rather than kind of your
yeah.
Ryan Giggs role at the left wing.
Yeah, the wing days are definitely gone. They are definitely gone. No, I'm absolutely loving it. I swear to goodness, the move has been brilliant for me. It really, really has. Because the last couple of years of Bob Bridger, I was sort of, not that I wasn't taking my mind off playing, because I still love playing, but I was thinking more of the coaching side of things, you know, and going, right, I'm just sort of see my days out here that type of way, and you know, I'll move in the coaching role, move in the manager role, and then lockdown was actually massive for me, because it could have went either way, you know, but I took it. I moved in with my granny and stuff during lockdown, so I done the full lockdowns. So, like, I didn't see my girlfriend for 6 months and stuff. I was done the full lockdowns. I was doing training, absolute mad training. So I come out of lockdown fitter than probably I've been in 10 years. You know, so I come out, and it helped me massively to come back in and feel real good. I feel good fitness wise still now. I'm still at the front of all the running, all the fitness drills that we're doing over Diana. And no, I'm really, really loving my football. Loving it, really, really enjoying it.
Whereas it was the opposite for me. I was piling on the pounds in lockdown, and I'll blame the wife for that. So that kind of ties us in nicely with obviously you're doing some great work with coaching the kids. Were you kind of, has that always been in your mind, or did lockdown, I suppose, sharpen your thoughts about going down that route? Or
it's always been there. It's always been. As I said earlier on, as me as a kid at Banbridge as a sponge, it was the exact same. Every coach, every manager I've ever worked under, right from an early age. You know, I've always looked at a manager and sort of going, "Oh, I like that what he's done," or I wouldn't do that and stuff." And I've got a black book in the house. You know, a black book, but like of all training drills that I've seen over the years that I've really liked. You know, I remember coming back and years ago at Banbridge and Loughgall going, "Oh, I love the drill they've done tonight," and I've wrote it down the book. So it's always been a wee thing in me that I want to go. I want to definitely step into it. Coaching, I definitely want to step into it, and I want to, all being well, touch wood to be a manager at some stage.
yeah, you've just taken my next question away from me. I was just going to say to you about sort of, you're all right. I was just going to say to you about sort of management then and coaching. So that's obviously something you've clearly got on in your mind.
Yeah.
So what type? I know it's maybe a difficult one for you to answer at this time, but what type of a coach manager do you see yourself developing into?
A player's one, all being well. You know, somebody who'll back my players, somebody who'll, you know, that type of way. And you know, it's hard to, you know, you've obviously got this pre-mindset. You know, you want to play all this lovely football and stuff, but sometimes pitches and players are standard, what standard we're going into and stuff like that dictates that. You know, so. No, it's definitely something I'm looking forward to getting into. Obviously, when I eventually do finish playing, but right now at the minute it's just concentrating on playing, concentrating on playing. And every senior player or any ex-player you talk to, what do they say? Play as long as you can, play as long as the best days of your life. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to literally play till the wee legs stop going.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Me and Richie, we're playing for the over 35s now because that's kind of kicked off, I think, on the back of COVID. So, you know, even when the legs are gone, you're more than welcome to join the over 35s because pretty much all our legs are gone, and you'd probably show us one or two things.
Well, there's a big one at Banbridge here. It's actually Paul Evans, and there's a Banbridge Evos legends. They play every Thursday night down here in Banbridge, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and they have maybe 20, 30, 40 players playing every Thursday night.
Holy smokes!
It's an unbelievable setup. They went to Portugal the last couple of years. They've won the all.
These must be proper players, though.
Exactly.
If you're called legends, you know, so, then it's in the name, isn't it?
To be fair, they've called themselves that. So.
Very good. So, Rand, we're going to rattle on then with the Keepie Uppies. I'm just going to try and get them in front of me here.
Well, this is a wee one. You boys actually sent me these out the other day, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'll be prepared. I'll write some, you know, a couple of names down. I went to myself, you know, don't do that. Don't shove nothing wrote down. So my theory is, any question you're going to fire, it's going to be the first name goes into my head. so that's the theory. So I've got to apologise to anybody who I'm currently playing with or I've played with before who I totally forget.
Well, then at least you have an excuse if you've offended anybody.
That's it.
Yeah. That's good thinking, actually.
My worry is walking in the train tomorrow night and getting kicked up all over the park because I'm going to start my current players. That's my worry, you know.
So, first one then, best team you've ever played for?
It'll have to be that Loughgall 5.
Aye.
It'll have to be, you know, I've been lucky enough to play in some brilliant teams, but just everything it was, you know, to win 5 trophies one season, I think it's the only team I can sort of say.
I don't even think you need to give a reason why. Even for a lot of these, we want to. And if you as well, that's another wee thing I meant to say to you. We were doing Keepie Uppies with somebody else, and he forgot to say the actual name of his teammates or players he's played with or whatever. He was giving us the nicknames, but love the nicknames. Right. So if you know the nicknames, like they were ridiculous. Some of them they were like Hammerhead and Caffo or something, just things that didn't even make sense. So throw in the nicknames. So next couple then, your best captain and best goal scorer.
Well, the captain one would have to be right back to the Bombers Town days. You know, sort of as I was a kid looking back at it, you know, there's a fella from Uri called Nigel Reese. He was sort of the one that was sort of, you know, my first senior captains, and a fella called Barry Tumblety of Bombridge as well. Absolutely brilliant with me. You know, he was sort of, I remember standing in the middle of the pitch and he was telling me to move, and he was like a traffic warden, they called him. You know, he was just telling me to move into these positions, and I remember walking back in there going, what's this old git talking about? Why would I move into here next when the ball falls right on my foot? And I'm going, oh, right, that's what you mean. You know, so just that experience, you know, so captain wise, just learning off people like that, and, you know, brilliant pros in around me. And what's the next one, sorry?
Next one's best goal scorer.
Oh, goal scorer. I know goals. Well, you got that goal team, the current manager, Dean Smith.
Oh,
Dean Smith. He was scoring goals every week. I remember coming out of the pitch, out of the ground every week. Me and Claire would all travel together, going, how good was Dean today? You know, he was absolutely brilliant for that team. Another good, proper goal scorer, I would say, Matty Burrows. Matty Burrows, you know, he came into Loughgall for a couple of years with me, and he was brilliant. See if Matty was 1-on-1, you just walk back the halfway line like he was a brilliant out and out goal scorer, you know.
I remember Dean Smith on Championship Manager was always pretty good.
Yeah.
So he was, back in the day. Football Manager, I think it's called now, but
Yeah.
So, good shouts there. Right, next two, your best player with the best touch and best goalkeeper. So best touch and best keeper.
Best touch. Well, at Banbridge we used to do, you know, the wee football tennis things.
Yeah.
And you know, at the end of Thursday nights when we're playing, you know, a couple of pound a man, it was me and Chris Kingsbury. Kingsbury was absolutely fantastic. You know, he was across the water at Sunderland and stuff. He came back, went to the Blues, and he sort of just fell out of love a wee bit, and he ended up down at Banbridge. But the wee man's touch on football ability, he was absolutely outstanding. So me and him with a double team for the football tennis all the time, and taking money off all the boys, you know. So it was good bit of banter. So I'd have to say Kingsbury for the touch. Goalkeeper, I played for the junior international team for a long time. There's a big goalkeeper. He played for Bangor, Ryan Brown, you called him. He was a good goalkeeper. But the best goalkeeper played without doubt is Mark Robinson at Loughgall, Big Robbo. What a goalkeeper. He had absolutely everything. He actually never done any goalkeeping coach. He used to play striker every Tuesday, Thursday night. And he was probably the best striker of the club too at the time.
What is it with keepers? They always think they're number 10s and strikers.
To be fair, Robbo could back it up. He's probably the only one who could back it up. You know? But Robbo was class. Absolutely class.
All right, shout out to Robbo. Right, next two. Yeah. Best defender and best midfielder.
Defender wise, probably playing with, he had a big influence on me. As I said, I mentioned a minute ago, the travelling buddy, Wazza, Glenn Waddell at Loughgall. He played in behind me at the time. I was playing in the wing. He had played left back, and he openly admitted himself. He was a hard working player. He had ability, but what he done was he just got the ball and gave it to other people who'd go win the game. And Glenn's first preference every day was just to give the ball to me. He just used to give the ball to me. So I'd have to say Glenn. A fella that sort of played against them, defender wise, was a fellow Michael Smith. He was a Ballyclare. He's actually playing at Hearts now, the right back, Northern Ireland International. Michael Smith.
Yes, yeah.
He played at Ballyclare, and I always remember going up to the Ballyclare games, and I always remember looking up, going, "Oh, it's going to be a tough game there with Michael. It's going to be a tough game against Michael." So, and then it turned out me and him played in the junior national team together, and me and him roomed together then for our first trip. So Michael was a good lad. I always remember, man, and it's great to see. He's obviously made a great career for himself, but he was a brilliant player at the age. He played for Ballyclare and he played right back, but he was a tough opponent. Tough opponent. Midfielder wise, oh boy, that's a tough one. This is a tough one. You know who I've got a couple of names just popped into my head straight away. There, we Stephen Ferguson was a Loughgall there for the last few years. The captain there for years. Fergie, what a player, ability. Unbelievable. Centre midfielder. So I'd have to say Fergie, and a fellow I mentioned already earlier on there, Barry Tumblety, as a centre midfielder back in the club, back to town years ago. He was brilliant. Tom just it was like a puppet show in the middle of the pitch. It was just so easy for him, and everything at his own pace.
Yeah, that's always a sign of a good player. They've always got about half an hour space, and they're just everything's easy for them. Best striker then?
A couple of people have actually mentioned before there. I thought you got to think about Dean Smith there. I know I've already said goal scorer, but striker wise, I know they're different. But Dean Smith was he could hold the ball up. He was just big and ugly. He was hard. He scored goals, headers, volleys, goals, everything. So Dean Smith. And then another one that I mentioned earlier on, and probably the one with the best career probably it's got to be Dessie Gorman when I was a kid at the time. Even though he was getting on a wee bit, you seen how good he was. He used to take the ball in the half turn and just hold people off. And as you say, you've seen him play one day and he puts one in the top stanchion when he's 40 odd. You know what I mean? So, but what a player! And wow, talk about stories. My goodness, what a man! What a man!
Yeah, fantastic. And his goal scoring record is
what
for all to see.
What a career! He tells the story himself. He was over at Arsenal and he was in trials over there, or he was over, and basically what Arsenal done was it was either Dessie Gorman or Niall Quinn, and Arsenal ended up signing Niall Quinn instead. So Dessie always jokes that big Niall Quinn has his career, you know.
Very good. Right, this is well, one of these is tricky, but best lefty and best righty.
Best lefty, oh boy, there's been so many of them too over the career. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mention
really?
one I'm playing with. There's been so many of them. Yeah, you're going to mention one that I'm playing with now. Actually, Craig Taylor. Craig Taylor's got a good wonderful left foot. He just absolutely wellies everything, you know. Everything. It doesn't matter if he's a yard out, he'll welly it. If he's on the wing, he'll welly everything. And I'm telling you, especially as a left winger, he wants to put that wonder ball in, the ping off the laces. And says your strikers will thank you much more if you just put a caress one in between the posts and let him knock it in. It doesn't need to be a YouTube one every time, you know. But he's got a great left foot. Everything's just, it comes off his laces so sweet. And another boy actually over at the Anna too, Adam Glennie. The wee left back we have on loan from Dungannon, his delivery, it's corners, set piece and all. He's got another good left foot as well. So, yeah, I've got to say them two boys.
Very good. And the righty?
The righty, a fella, actually, there's another boy at the end again here. You think I am sucking up the boys here. They keep popping into my head here. Nathan Kerr, the wee right back, Nathan Kerr. So we got him in from Portdown there in the summer. He loves pinging it. So he's got a decent right foot. And then a fella years ago at Banbridge, Ali Evans. What a player he was. He just pinged everything. He was just, and he just, it's like we daisy cutters, just about a yard off the ground. And he just pinged it. So I've got to say them two boys. Okay.
Next one's always a toughie one to answer, so you can throw in a couple of names, but your best manager, apart from Kieran.
Yeah, we'll leave Kieran out then.
Leave him out.
So, I got to look back at Niall. Obviously Now the trophies won together, and then as I've mentioned a couple of times there, just briefly, the junior national team they played for years. Harry McConkie was the manager.
Oh yeah,
Harry was absolutely brilliant. Somebody who I took a lot off, and even during the summer there, I done a bit of coaching with him. The host of the tournament here, and I done the coaching with him here. So he took me in as a sort of a coach for the tournament, just the PowerPoints and the way he puts across and the philosophy he wants to play football with. Harry was brilliant. And a fellow who's doing now brilliant, very well now, obviously at Carrick, Stuart King. I played on the Stuart at Banbridge for years. Stuart, he was absolutely brilliant. His enthusiasm, his drive, his everything. He's got absolutely everything, and you can see why he's doing so well over at Carrick.
Yeah, 100%. The start of the season like a house on fire. I think they've kind of tailed off a wee bit, but still, they're overall they're doing pretty well.
You look at the job, you look at the table there. I think he's closer to the top 6 than he is anywhere near the relegation.
Oh yeah.
So what a job he's doing. What a job.
100%. Next two then, loves a hard challenge and the quickest player.
Hard challenge. Ryan Harper at Annie. He loves a tackle. There's any wee ball that breaks the middle of the park anywhere, you just hear him shouting, tackle. So and if you don't go in for that tackle, Harps will soon tell you. Yeah, you're in for it. Yeah, so you don't want to be in the back end of his 50.
No, I would say so.
No, you don't want to be in his black book either. You don't want to be a hitman on Harps list. And then another wee one, the hard challenge. There's a wee kid coming through at Banbridge, a wee kid called Jack Barber. He loves. I actually think he takes a couple of steps back, so then he can go and mill something. It's scurries, and see when the wee man hits you just stay hit. You know what I mean? There's nothing to tell him, but he just loves whacking people. You know, so that's it. And then the quickest one, without a doubt, it's a fella at Banbridge, Stephen McCavitt. He is the quickest thing I've ever seen in 2 legs. He's absolutely, it's not right. It's I call him meat, you know, like a road runner. He's just scary quick, scary quick. It's just as well he's quick too because he's got no brains at all. He is up there. He is up there with the biggest trigger I've played with.
Very good. I love the way you're just making up names for players as well. That's fantastic. What about best all-round player?
Best all-round player. It's a hard one because you know you've got so many played with. But I mentioned him earlier on there as the best right foot. I've got to say, wee Ollie Evans, a fella I played with at Banbridge. I just absolutely loved playing with him. I loved everything about him. His ability on the ball. He was hard. He was nasty. And he just ability, absolutely everything. So best all-round player, I've got to say, Ollie Evans.
And then the last two, player that got better with age, and then the player who always gives 100%.
Yeah, well, the one that get better with the age. You know, I think I mentioned him actually earlier on too. There, we Stephen Ferguson, Fergie, who was over Loughgall. I think he played. He retired during the summer, but we played against him last year. Like, what a player! You know, he's one you said earlier on. You know, everything was at his pace and dictated. You know, even at the age of 35, 36 or something, he was still dictating play and all. But what a player Fergie was. So getting better with age, you got to mention Fergie, yeah. And then the last one gives 100%. That's a tough one because you know. I've played with people who with attitude and stuff like that have been driven and stuff like that, you know. But so many years ago I played him as a centre midfielder over at Banbridge, a fella called Fran McGuinness. He was a Belfast fella. He came down, he sort of sewed into the whole Banbridge thing. He loved it down there and he always gave 100,000,000%. So I'll give wee Fran a shout out there.
You give him a shout. That's what it's all about. That's
it.
Happy day. You done rightly there for not being prepared.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a good job. That's the way forward.
That's it, yeah. So first name was in your head.
Right. And then to finish up with the wheel of Burba. So we're going to spin this imaginary wheel. It's going to stop at a contentious talking point. So I'm just spinning it here, Ryan. And your topic is regarding the World Cup. So the Qatar World Cup has been surrounded in controversy. However, football-wise, how does it rank in all the World Cups that you've witnessed?
Yeah, the first thing is that it's very, very weird that we're sitting in November, December watching the World Cup. That's the weirdest thing, you know. And I think, especially with the kickoff times, I know a lot of people who are working from home were absolutely loving it. You know, at 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so stuff like that. But it was hard to get watching. I found it tough to get into at the start. I thought the first couple of group games were very slow. I thought, you know, you seen a lot of 0-0s, didn't we? Really? You know, it took a while to boil up. It took a while to boil up, to get going. You know.
No, you're right. I find that. Do you not find that with most tournaments? I think teams are just so fearful of losing that first game because if you lose your first game, then that's you've one foot in the plane, don't you?
I say that, and I actually said this about football a couple of years ago. It has changed back a wee, but I think that the fear of losing almost outweighed the want to win.
Mm-hmm.
I found out a lot in football. You know, it's getting better now because people are going the front foot again. But you remember teams years ago used to go away to City and just sit in and just wait for the 1-0 getting beaten and stuff like that instead of going maybe having a go at them. I think football has changed a wee bit over the last couple of years on front foot managers. But I think you're definitely right there that the fear of getting beat the first game, because you get beat the first game in your 3-game tournament, you know, you're out really, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
So it does take a while to get it, but no, it's been enjoyable now. I've enjoyed it now. It's built it up now. Obviously, the games, the knockout games are brilliant because you know you have to turn up or you go home. You know, I would follow England there, so I got to be we bit disappointed there on Saturday night.
I have to admit, I was disappointed. Now, I kind of feel myself because I'm a Liverpool man. So there's obviously a couple of Liverpool players in there, so you you're almost kind of looking out for them in a way, but I have to admit I was disappointed, and I just had a sneaky feeling they were going to get to the final. I thought maybe they would come up short, maybe against either Brazil or Argentina, but yeah, and they didn't play that badly. I thought
they done well.
It took them a while just to get going, maybe in the first half, but second half they came out all guns blazing, missed a couple of chances before they scored the penalty. But it's just those wee small margins that just switched off for that.
Crazy, isn't it?
Sure, like you can't give him half a yard. Sure, he doesn't really do an awful lot in the general play, but you see in the box, in the air, you know, that's why he's their record goal scorer.
Oh, 100%. What a career he's had too, you know, and considering he doesn't really get mentioned in all them brackets, you know, especially at the start of the tournament when the likes of Benzema gets injured, you're going, oh, that's a big player away from France, you know, and you're going, he's just come in, I think he scored 4 goals in the tournament, you know, so like if he scores in the semi-finals and the final, he's a chance of winning the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
You know, so it just shows, you know. So I think he won the World Cup last time. He didn't score in the tournament. I think
that's right. Yeah, he got a bit of criticism for not scoring.
Yeah. So
but,
no, I've enjoyed it now, to be honest with you. Know, but I still believe that you can't beat a Summer World Cup. You know, even just the crack with the boys and stuff like the back gardens and the beer gardens and football and stuff like that. You know, I think it's just always set in that way, and I think this will probably be the one and only time that this does happen.
I would imagine so. And who do you fancy to win it then?
I think France will be hard to beat. I know everyone's giving this story about Messi's got everything written in the stars and stuff like that, but I think Argentina's overall team is not great. It's not great. You know, I know they've got, obviously you got the wee man playing, he's a match winner by himself, but I think you look at the other side, Mbappe can win any match by himself as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's if them two teams get to the final. The likes of Croatia are just still going. The next look at Modric is just, oh my goodness, what a player! You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would sort of follow Madrid, so I watch him most weeks, and I'm still sitting on Saturday or Sunday night just going, how good is this Luka Modric? You know, so it'll be class for him too, and how good Morocco have been as well. You know, because I watched the game down at Balmerstown Football Club on Saturday, and I thought Morocco deserved to go through. I thought they played the better football, and they deserved to go through.
Yeah, and you know, if you're putting out the likes of Spain and Portugal, yeah, you certainly deserve to be in the last 4.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's going to be Argentina, France anyway.
That's what you want, don't you? That's what you want. I actually, there's a few of us. We're actually going down to Galway this Sunday morning, and we're going down into Galway for the cup final. So we'll be well settled in the middle of Galway for a few creamy stout and for the World Cup final. So an Argentina France final will be absolutely brilliant.
Class. You're sorted then. You've the plans and everything done and dusted.
Yes.
The Guinness ordered. Well, here, Ryan, that's an hour of your time. I really appreciate. Absolutely fantastic football journey you've been on, which will continue for the next few years, and fingers crossed we'll be seeing you in coaching and management, whatever else.
Yep.
So again, thanks a million for your time. Look after yourself.
Yes, thanks very much for inviting coming on, and it was a pleasure. So thanks very much, and again, hopefully we'll talk again in the future sometime.
Lovely. Thanks a million. You take it easy.
Okay. Yep. Thanks.
Good luck.
Bye now.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.